Good morning, Laker fans. What's going on? Appreciate you guys tuning in. A little Lakers talk daily on this Tuesday morning. Lake Show finish out the road trip 4-2. I want to talk a little bit about that. A couple of the post-game comments yesterday as well about the trade deadline coming up on Thursday. So busy week for Lakers basketball. Just a quick reminder before we get started. Please subscribe to this channel here, ESPN LA. Always putting up content. Just so you guys know as well, we're streaming all our live shows. Obviously streaming post-game. I'm throwing up some content here around the Lakers. Pretty soon here, they'll be throwing up content on a daily basis around the Dodgers as well. Okay, so real quick thoughts on the road trip. Then I want to get into some of the quotes from yesterday as well. 4-2 on the road trip. 4-2. You know, I listen, we could dissect it because I think there's two ways to look at it. Let me give you the pessimistic view real quick. You barely beat the Warriors. 1 point win. You need double overtime. Had a couple chances to win in regulation. You weren't able to do it. You barely win. You beat the New York Knicks without 3 of their starters, even though the Knicks are playing really well. And then you barely hold on to beat the Charlotte Hornets after you were up 21 late in the third, and you hold on. I think it went all the way down to 4, and a couple got a little frantic there towards the end, but Lakers win that game. And the only other game that you could say, okay, well, you kind of looked good from start to finish was the Boston Celtics without LeBron, without Anthony Davis. That's the pessimistic view to look at it. Because you had a couple bad losses, and the loss against the Rockets and the loss against the Atlanta Hawks. You had a couple losses where I think everybody understood. You're down 30 at one point. You're down 20 at one point in each of those games. So that's a pessimistic view. The optimistic view of how to look at this is Lakers went 4-2 on this road trip. I don't really care how they got there. They went 4-2. They've won 3 games in a row, which is the first time since the in-season tournament. They're 2 games over 500, which is the first time in over a month or so. About a month and a week or so. I know all that kind of sounds funny, and I know that shouldn't be something that Laker fans should be pumping their chest out at, but I think a team that's only 2 games over 500, that's sitting in the 9th place in the Western Conference, that's doing everything it possibly can just to be a part of this conversation with the rest of the West, you take it. I don't think it was perfect. I think the Lakers still have a lot of areas they got to improve on. I think Lakers sometimes try to flip that switch on, and sometimes it doesn't go on. I think there's a lot of things that we could be critical of. However, they went 4-2 on the road trip. Bad loss to the Atlanta Hawks, bad loss to the Houston Rockets. They won all the other ones. And even though it was a 1-point win against Golden State, they won. Even though yesterday got interesting, they took care of business. I don't really care who the Knicks had in the lineup and who they didn't have in the lineup. Lakers should have won that game, locked down in the fourth quarter, and they won that game. And the Boston game, I think that's the one where, I think it threw everybody off just because Bron and AD weren't playing. Best record in the NBA, and Lakers found a way to win that game. Overall, the road trip, if I kind of put that thing to the side, 4-2. Now you got 4 games left before you go to the All-Star break. We're going to find out more about this team over the course of these next 4 games because you play arguably the best team in the NBA coming up on Thursday in the Denver Nuggets. Then you got second of a back-to-back going up against the Pelicans, 8 games over 500. They're a good team. You should have a layup against the Pistons here at home, and then the final game before the All-Star break is at Utah, which is always a tough place to play. Go 2-2. If you can go 2-2 over that 4-game stretch, now at least you put yourself in a position that you're within striking distance of all these other teams. I'm talking about the teams that are sitting in 7th, 8th, and even potentially 6th as well. So 4-2 on the road trip. I think we could be critical. That's fine. But I'm walking away from this road trip definitely at least feeling Lakers did something I didn't think they were going to be able to accomplish, but they handled their biz. Now, for some of the quotes here from yesterday's game, Dave McMenamin had a good article on ESPN a little bit earlier today. Trade deadline's coming up, so this is going to obviously be the conversation for the next couple of days until we get to Thursday's game. Couple quotes coming from LeBron. Asked about the trade deadline. It's not a question for me. I love who we have in the locker room, and that's all I worry about. We're going to go out and prepare ourselves every single night, no matter what it is, no matter who's out on the team, no matter what. Okay, that's from LeBron's perspective. D'Angelo Russell, whose name's been thrown out as part of this, as part of trade rumors really since before the season started. He says, I don't care at all. Show up to work. That's it. I mean, I can't control that my contract makes sense to be traded either. So, I mean, just play. You can't control that. Once again, I don't care at all. And he wasn't saying this if you actually listen to him and not just me reading the quote. He's just basically saying, like, what do you guys want me to do? I can't control. I can't control what the front office wants to do. I can't control that my contract is tradable at the end of the year or tradable by the trade deadline, and I don't have a no-trade clause. Now, he could have probably had a no-trade clause. I'm going to go back to one other quote that he had. I really just genuinely, humbly don't care because I can't control it, one. And two, I just won't allow my mind to go there. I like to focus on this, and you guys see how I've been focusing on basketball and not comments and what's trending on social. Braun's last quote, this is who we have, so there's nothing else to talk about. Laker fans, I don't know if a trade's going to go down by the time the trade deadline comes and goes, which is Thursday at noon. But I will tell you that D'Lo, 100%. I don't know what changed over these last 30 days or whatever the case is. He's been a lot different of a player that I think the taste in my mouth, if he ends up staying, it's a different taste than it was 30 days ago. Look at D'Angelo Russell over his last 16 games. 22 points a game, 6.5 assists a game. Lakers went 10-6 over that stretch. I've said this before. DeJounte Murray, I'd love to see on this Lakers team. I think he makes sense short-term, long-term, however you want to put it. But ultimately for the Lakers, they need to make moves that make sense for the organization. And if it doesn't make sense, then they just don't do it. So it's going to be an interesting couple of days, Laker fans. Feel free to give us your thoughts. Please subscribe to the channel. I'll be back tomorrow. Lakers talk, by the way, tonight. It's on at 7 o'clock. Thanks, Laker fans. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.